Jeff Lennox, and Deborah Linus. Okay, so I guess I wanted to start by kind of recapping where we are. Oh, wait a minute, we have to do the minutes first.
All right.
You're in here someplace. Okay, so you know, I left the minutes at home.
Well, I had printed out 2 copies.
Oh, I know, but they had my notes on of what I was gonna talk about. So anyway, all right,
You
well,
want this?
why did I
Doesn't have your
my
notes.
No, it's okay. Okay. Let's have a motion to approve the minutes of May 7th. Laura's gonna make a motion and Susan's seconding it. All in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, well, what's unfortunate about
I wasn't
my
there,
leaving
so I
this-
have a no vote.
Okay, thank you. What's unfortunate about my leaving my notes at home is that this is gonna test my memory, number one, but also, I did have all of Will's things, but I'll try to see if I can remember what I was saying. But okay, just to kind of recap, there's two sort of areas that we are working on. One is the zoning amendments, you know, or changes to the zoning regulations. And the other is what do we want to do about a zoning permit and sort of process stuff that we could help Will with and make it easier for people to apply, and also make it easier for us and Will to understand what they're actually applying for. So I went to, so Will had provided us with a whole list of potential changes. And we had narrowed those down a little bit at the last meeting. And I went to the last planning commission meeting, and they specifically said before I went that they wanted the list to be short. And they wanted to know why we were proposing each thing that we were proposing. So what was the why? Okay. So and now I don't have does anybody have like Jeff Brown's list of the 7th? Can I just see that? Okay. So everything at home. So Jeff Brown came up with well, the planning commission met, and I went through our proposals. And let me just back up a little bit more. The planning commission, they're going to apply for a grant to get the zoning regulations done. I doubt that they're going to be able to even apply for it until the fall. Does that?
I think that's
I
correct.
think that sounds right. And I don't know how quickly these things turn around, but I would doubt that they would be beginning to work on this stuff till next year. So what they did say was, oh, and also Matt Balker, is that how you say his name? I don't know. Okay, Matt from Wyndham Regional, he doesn't have any more time left on his grant with the town, so he can't really work on anything in depth until we get a new grant. That said, they would be willing, and he would have a couple, I don't know, a little bit of time to help out to do easy fixes. They don't want them to be complicated, and they don't want them to be overly, if possible, controversial. So just sort of things that will make everybody's life easier, but are more, they're not, you know, like having a, whatever. Anyway, so Jeff Brown, they voted and they came up with 7 proposed bylaw amendments, and we'll go through those in a second. And then they also, what I asked of them was, I was going to go back and talk to Will and you guys and find out if there is anything that is not on this list that really rises to that, not controversial, not too complicated, and could get done relatively simply.
And I made a list for them of what I thought about that.
Right, thank you, and that's what I. So Will prepared a list of quick fixes, which some of the ones that we've already addressed are on this list, but some of them aren't. So today, what I thought we could go through is the 7 that were identified by the planning commission that they would work on, and then go through Will's list and find out if, or decide if there's stuff in there that's like really easy to do. I think part of it is they don't, the reason I think they want the list short is they don't really wanna.
You know what? I think it's a one-sided copy of a four-sided document. Does anybody have 4 pages?
No,
too.
and something didn't make sense between
Yeah.
7.5 to 4 and the.
Here's the 4-sided one. I'll make
Okay.
new copies.
So, so that's what I thought we would spend the first part of the meeting on. And then, and also figure out, you know, what do we want to do as next steps? It is summertime. Jeff's about to get on his boat. And, you know, I don't know if people would like to take a break from this over the summer. But that we can talk about. So, I'd like to talk about what we proposed, what Will's suggestions are, and then figure out if we want to, how we want to approach the planning commission, or if somebody from us wants to go to the planning commission meeting. It's next week. I don't know if Will wants to go. He probably.
Is it next
Monday?
Monday, okay, I can.
Yeah,
probably go.
I can do. Okay, so.
Could you
Oh.
Hold on, could
Yeah.
you ask Will to send me a copy of that too? Because I don't have it, the list you're going to go over.
I don't know if he
I think,
can
did he
send it.
email it?
It's been sent around.
I think he
It
sent an
has.
email with it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I'll look.
just opened it.
Yeah, I think he sent an email maybe a few days ago, Deb.
It was, if I'm looking at the right one, it's a May 20 email.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah,
days ago, yeah.
I think that sounds like about right. Let me just
Okay.
see.
I'll look.
I'm gonna look real quick, Deb, and see on my phone and see if it's there, and I'll
Maybe
send it
20.
to you.
There's a May
Okay.
20 that included Jeff Brown on the list and a bunch of other people beyond us.
Yeah, do you have it, Deb, or I can send it to you?
Send it to, well, let me look.
Well, I'm on there, so I can just send it to you.
Okay.
And
okay.
it's also gonna have Jeff Brown's list of 7.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
um,
got that email, just not the rest of it, okay.
All right, let's
Yeah.
see.
The Jeff Brown list is in a May 22 email.
Yeah, all right, forward to.
yeah, it's May 20th.
Um.
Hmm.
Okay, Deb, I just forwarded to you.
Okay.
All right, so going through the Jeff Brown or the Planning Commission list. The first one is that add provisions to allow the town to permit uses not already provided for in zoning bylaws. And that's in section 200. Remember that. Thanks. That's in section 200, and they were okay with that. And actually, Will has that in his, I think Will has that in his list too. So that is gonna be done. So the next one is add provisions to allow the DRB to grant waivers. The other thing we have to talk about is, I'm not really quite sure they want us to draft the stuff. I think they want us to just tell them what the sections are and that they're gonna have.
But it's just as easy to
I know.
cut and paste it as
But
it
it's
is.
like, here, let me steer you all the way here.
Yeah,
Matt to do it.
Yeah, it seems like sort of silly because we can just
Yeah.
3/4 of the way.
do
there.
that. So,
Yeah.
the waiver language is in Will's quick fix thing. So we'll go to that when we go to Will's quick fix thing. So that's in the quick fix. So, revise the off-street loading space requirements. Where I think they settled on that was right now it's mandatory. And I think they're gonna make it, more, in the village, it would be really a function of whether it's necessary for the business and is there space, because we know that that can be a bit of a problem. The next one is the revising of the landscaping, screening and buffer requirements. And that was, remember there's two things. One is there's the confusion over whether it's 25 feet or 15 feet, but there's also, there's a language of you will do this, you have to do this. And it doesn't leave the board with much discretion or wiggle room.
And also it was interpreted wildly different ways. You got over here, you have a solid wall of evergreens, and then
Right.
downtown you have no screening at all.
Right. There was the different plants that can be used. And the
So,
heights, so.
Okay. The provisions on what qualifies as a minor subdivision based on the number of lots being subdivided. I'm not quite sure. Did we settle on that?
I think we decided 2 was fine, but not more than 2.
Yeah, I think you said
Okay.
not
Another
much
option
there.
is any number of lots that don't, where there's no new roads. But
Okay, so it's 2, but were we recommending, or did we back away from it?
Having Will do it,
Yeah.
I thought that's where we.
but
wanted it.
there was a feeling that all the abutters should be notified, even if
Okay.
it's a minor
Yeah.
subdivision.
So we should probably tell them that, because I don't think that was in there. So 2 lots with zoning administrator able to approve, but notice requirements.
A butter notice.
A butter notice, okay. Okay, the building height definition, that's in Will's quick fix, and we can go over that when we go over his
Just a
quick
question
fix.
though, the abutter notice won't have any, there's no appeal rights have to put in there?
You have a 15-day appeal
Right,
period.
but would it have to be in that notice?
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know if it's sort of a new, but that in a standard notice, the right to appeal is spelled out how you do it.
Okay.
And then the last one, which is new language, and it's in Will's quick fixes, that's allowing for minor amendments to permits and site approvals without having to come back for a hearing.
Is that like an extension of a permit? Would that be included in there?
No, that's a different section,
It's
but
different.
it's for example, I'm not supposed to grant permits for like a little roof over a set of stairs or anything like that at a commercial business unless we say in the bylaws, unless there's a set of rules in the bylaws for when the ZA can do it. So the rules I
So do
stole
we have
from
to say
Londonderry.
what kind of amendments, like minor?
Yeah.
Insignificant?
He drafted some
Oh, okay.
language that we
Oh,
can,
okay.
when we
So
get
do
there.
we define what that is?
Yes, commencement of you can't commence a new conditional use. You can't construct anything over 500 square feet. You can't increase the
Oh, I
number of
see.
dwellings on a property. You can't blah, blah, blah.
Okay,
Okay.
let's hold
Okay,
that till we
sorry.
get to
Alright.
that.
Alright.
So those were the 7 that got picked up by the planning commission. So now I'd like to turn over to the, here, I don't need, there's 2 of them there.
But it's,
Oh, I see, it's
that's,
the 2
that's
different,
the 4-page one.
okay, you can have back that one.
Yeah.
All right, so now we're gonna look at the Will's quick fix ones.
I got it down to 3 pages.
I know, I'm impressed. I'm impressed. So Will, the first one is, that should be a no-brainer.
Right,
I mean, and it should be done.
yes.
So we encourage that one. That's like
For
just,
the people on Zoom,
Mhm.
it's Change Planning Commission an appropriate municipal panel to DRB.
Yeah,
Okay, good.
Okay, the next one is around sewage requirements. And I guess, could you kind of walk us through this about a little bit about why this is necessary?
This was written when Weston was in charge of septic permits. And now
Oh.
the state is in charge of septic permits.
So it's correcting, it's just
Yep.
correcting,
Yep,
okay,
The state law. Okay.
it references the Weston sewage officer.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
so it's really corrects wrong information. I mean,
Yes.
it's whatever. All right. The next one, now, do you think this is the setback from the permanent water courses going from 100 to 50 feet? Is that gonna be a problem, do you think? Should we?
I don't think it's controversial.
I mean, who?
Since there's flood requirements and
Yeah,
Mhm,
environmental protection requirements too.
okay,
it's just gonna affect one area. I mean, it really will just affect 100, right? Pretty much. Or
No,
No,
those
any
are-
little brook,
any little brook.
yeah.
I mean, is a pond? No, pond is not. It's-
Pond,
If pond would fall under wetland rules unless some ponds are not connected to wetlands, but
So it's a permanent water course, so a
Right.
permanent water course is theoretically moving.
yes.
Okay, so that shouldn't be hard to just change that, okay? All right, the agriculture one, is that, I mean, I don't think it's controversial, but it's hard to explain and stuff. Should we just hold off on that till?
It's just, it doesn't match what the state statute says.
Oh, okay, so,
So I would think making it match the state statute would be
okay,
helpful.
mm-hmm.
okay. So the 570 is the landscaping requirements, and so Will has taken out the 25 feet. Are we also taking out the 15 feet, or is that's in a different
That's in a
section?
different section. That's in parking, I think,
Um,
or maybe in screening. I think landscaping, screening, and screening for parking should all be in the same section, but
yeah,
That's-
I don't
that's
think
a little-
I don't think they'll go for
Not for
making
now.
that kind of
yeah.
change, but all right, so I'll just check and see where that 15 feet is.
So you're taking out the requirement, the minimum requirement of 25 feet.
Yes, and also, oh, it's not here. Somewhere else, there's a rule that you can ask your neighbor if they want screening,
Which you can't.
No,
which,
that sounds like a.
So you're proposing to take that out?
yeah,
Is that,
that's a different section.
Is
I
that-
guess we'll get to it.
okay, all right, next thing is, this is posting, oh, I know, this is that notification thing, 705.2.4. That we currently require the adjoining land, the applicant to notify the adjoining landowners, and you said that's.
By certified mail, which is a waste of money
Mhm.
because people don't pick up their certified mail, and it's not required by statute. And it's also, it's very complicated for them to get everybody's addresses.
So if we take that out, it just falls on you to do it?
Right.
Okay, so it's not that
But it's
people,
actually easier for me to do it.
right, it's not that people won't be notified, it's just
No.
that you don't have to worry about whether,
Right, and it doesn't have to, you don't have to spend $9 per letter.
okay.
Okay.
Okay, so then moving along to, okay, 708, so what,
This is just an improper citation of state statute.
okay,
Section performance standards are in our bylaws as section 560, so I would just change it to section 560.
okay,
And the other one is about airports. I have no idea what they were trying to cite, but
okay,
that's rules for airports.
Can I
Okay.
just go back for 1 minute? I'm sorry. So we're section 705.2.4. So you're taking out the adjoining landowners have to notify, but should you put in that you? will
No, you don't
notify?
have to. All it's saying is that the applicant, all this passage says is the applicant has to be responsible for notifying.
Right, but removing that doesn't.
It says in
Silent-
another,
oh,
it says in
that's
another section
Okay,
Okay.
gotcha.
that all butters have to be
Okay.
notified.
Okay,
So, now we're moving on to the definitions and the building height. And I don't know, maybe I just have a whatever around this. I find this still difficult to understand.
It is, it's a very complicated definition. If it were up to me, I would say no bedroom could be more than 16 feet from the ground, or every bedroom has to have a window that's no more than 16 feet from the ground. But that's, every town does it this way. Almost every town does it this way.
Right, but I guess two things that I would, when I was reading this was, what is the purpose of, is 15 feet from the average finished grade within 10 feet of the walls of the building? So what does that mean?
It's just, it's a back doorway of getting to, you should be able to jump out of your bedroom window, and firemen should be able to reach the roof with the ladders they carry. So it's,
So I'm just asking, what is that what is the within 10 feet of the walls of the
That's-
building mean?
because if the ground slopes off dramatically,
Okay,
then it's makes it harder to jump out the window, and it makes it harder for the fire department to put a ladder up.
so if I guess I don't understand, so if these other things are more than 10 feet above the height of the roof, then,
It's only solar collectors that can't be more
oh,
than
it's
10
only
feet.
applicable, I see, it's not to all of them.
Chimneys, cupolas,
And
antennae
then, and
can be any height.
and solar collectors.
Solar
So-
I
collectors.
see.
so if you have like slope like this,
Mhm.
so we have to measure it from here and here. You're saying 10 feet in from each side?
No,
Well, that's why I'm confused.
Yeah.
all right.
I mean, I don't know that a
Because I looked,
property owner would necessarily understand that.
I do because I had to live this, because I have a walkout on one side of me, and I'm gonna approve my building permit here because he said on one side you exceed the 35 feet
Right.
because you have a
Yeah.
third.
So it-
well, no, I
floor.
understand the idea that we want to look at the I thought we
Yeah,
were just looking
but
at the average
the
of the
10
four sides.
Separately, the 10 foot is only for these things above your roof line. Those are okay.
The solar
The
collector.
chimneys, the
No,
They
cupolas,
can
know,
be
but then-
other, they can
With
be
it- but
higher
that-
than that.
but then your average, okay.
So you're measuring here and here and averaging.
Right.
I mean, I can look around for a less complicated formula.
Let's try that, because I also didn't understand what it said, including the top of the parapet. What's the parapet?
I don't know what
Isn't that in a
I'm.
castle?
That's if you
only?
have a flat, if you have a flat roof with a parapet
As
around it.
measured from your moat.
Exactly, Monty Python can only have a.
We're not gonna
Yeah,
have
let's
that.
just look for a less complicated.
Yeah, I know.
Well, I mean,
Depth.
there is, some people say 35 feet measured on the front side.
Mm,
I'll look around
I
because
don't mind
maybe
having
someone
it
has
be
figured
an
it out.
average
Right,
going all the
right,
way
yeah,
around.
the average makes sense.
But I think that
At
the,
the time, I remember looking at what other towns did, and I thought what other towns had was way simpler than
Right, well,
ours.
that's why we ended up with that problem up on Hell's Peak.
Mhm.
But so let me ask you a question, going back to the drawing here. So if, all right, when I take the average of this, so where do I take it? At each corner?
Well, it's within 10 feet, so I don't know if that means anywhere in this 10 feet area.
Oh, see, I thought it
An
meant 10
average
feet in the
within
in
10.
here.
No, it's within 10 feet away.
I think we need to find a
Yeah.
definition that's.
there's too much higher math.
There's
involved.
a drawing in the Londonderry bylaws that, or the new ones that
Okay.
might be helpful.
All right,
I was gonna suggest that, you know, a drawing could really help the final definition. I don't know if we can put
Okay.
drawings in our zoning rules, but
Yeah, a lot of towns have a lot of stuff, like that, so,
And as long as you can steal it from someone else or
Yeah,
hire
they're
someone to do
happy
it.
with that, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's fine.
All right, so now we have the wastewater, what, so wait,
That's just a correction.
just a correction, okay,
Wastewater permit is not a municipal land use permit.
okay.
Okay.
So, structure, so you're proposing adding,
Removing fence, because
Okay.
if fence is a structure, it has to meet setbacks.
okay.
But
And
adding,
we have a special place for fences inside, in a special section on fences.
yeah, but once you say it's a structure, that adds
Okay.
confusion.
and that was the big deal with, whatchamacallit,
Yeah, McKenna.
yeah, McKenna, when we're kind of forced to consider a fence as a structure and then sticking the building on the fence, because it's a structure.
So wouldn't we have the same issue with a sign though, that
Hmm.
we had with McKenna? What if they stuck a sign in their yard?
long sign.
A really long sign, yeah.
Well, it wouldn't fit the sign,
Well, we separately have that, yeah, that's true.
So I'm suggesting adding pool and tennis court
okay,
to structure.
okay. And.
Why do we need sign in there as a structure? Where does that?
That
Where
was,
does
that
that
was my.
help us?
Yeah, no, it makes sense to
So
remove it, I
take it
think.
out, yeah.
Yeah. Cause there's different rules for
Yeah, this,
setbacks for signs, so it should be out.
okay. All right, so now. Front yard and side yard.
There's no, right now in the bylaws, it's very hard to find where it says that steps don't need to meet setbacks. I think
Okay.
it's under the definition of front yard and side yard. It's
Okay.
somewhere really obscure, and we had a kerfuffle over the library steps, whether they had to meet setback or not.
Now, an important one that I dealt with recently or a couple years ago, are decks. Because in the rules I was dealing with actually here in New Hampshire is the deck is considered a part of the house. And so, setback from property lines, setback from waterfront, the deck is structure. So I don't know what the
That's-
intent.
That's
Weston is.
normal. I think most towns have that.
So
Yeah.
I guess what, I think that deck probably comes within the assembly of materials for occupancy or use, I guess, including that, we could say deck. What about a patio? Is a patio a structure?
Usually not,
Okay, because it's,
unless it's if you have over a half
Yeah,
acre.
what I've seen, a patio is not part of the structure.
okay, should we add deck in here or just leave it?
Yeah, no, I think ed tech.
Okay, deck,
It's probably a good reminder to somebody because decks are such a big deal.
Yeah.
That's pretty common. Yeah, even if it's covered somewhere else in the regs, it's just a good reminder to people that a deck is part of the structure.
okay, so, now, this is, okay, minor site plan review. Is this like also a permit extension? No, not a permit extension. It's a permit,
It's
a permit
it's
review?
amendment.
a permit, okay, so, and so this is a permit amendment too. So, so what about, how do you, this is focused on multifamily homes and commercial use. So if I have a permit, and I wanna do something, that's not hard, you just do that anyway, it's a single family home, so.
Right. But for
Alright.
example, Kinhaven likes to put up new practice buildings, and in theory, they need a hearing to do that. And the Vermont Country Store put a roof over a set of stairs. The Inn at Weston has done a couple of little things, a roof over their back deck.
Mhm.
In theory, I can't do those without this
Kind of a
test.
thing.
Yeah.
But is there a definition, or we just wanna leave it open?
Well, there's a
A
definition
of what, I know you have
there's a definition of
It's-
what minor site plan review
but
is.
then also you have, what is not a minor site plan review,
Well, I would
right? So
assume,
that's sort of, I don't know.
I would
What
assume that
this?
this is gonna go somewhere in the zoning regulations that it makes sense, maybe in
Yeah,
filing for a permit or something.
Right.
If you
Yeah.
have a
In
permit
between
amendment.
permit and site plan review somewhere.
because you have what, then it's the list of what this doesn't apply to, as opposed to what it does
It
apply
does apply
to,
to.
you know what I mean?
Right.
But I understand that that is not, like, you can't make a comprehensive,
That's a good point. So
maybe list,
do you
but,
imagine that this will go in the section on site plan review?
Yeah, or right before it or right after it.
okay,
So, so it's sort of saying that if you're building something that needs site plan review, this is how you do it. And then if you wanna do a minor
right,
amendment to your site plan or your permit, this is how you would do it.
right, but it can't be any of these things, which you need to have, which you need to get, I'm sorry, site plan review for these things.
Mhm.
Anything that's not a 1 or 2 family home, a sign or a temporary structure needs site plan review.
Well, in essence,
It's just,
it's, so really isn't,
I feel
Um,
like it might be confusing, I'm just trying to think of it from someone just looking at this, so. I mean, they'll just have to, I guess, ask you if that's not a problem, they may not know if what they're doing.
Generally, commercial projects talk to me first anyway.
Right, do you know what I mean, they may not know that
Right.
they're excluded or they're included.
Here's another example is, well, no, it doesn't, it's because it's a ramp, it doesn't count, but the Playhouse needs to build a ramp, wheelchair ramp, because they moved their door. And so something of that size, if it weren't a ramp, they could just ask me, do we need to
I
have a
see.
hearing to put?
But I guess what you're telling me, all these things are very specific to specific businesses, so you can't really define them, that the excluding is how it needs to be structured, because you can't
Yeah.
imagine the things that might,
Everything
each business.
commercial needs a site plan, but this is a loophole for tiny things.
right, like a roof over a set of stairs kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay. That sounds
so,
fine.
so in other words, if they're coming in for a minor site plan amendment, what you're basically saying is it can't be dealing with a new conditional use. It can't be, anything having to do with a building that's greater than 500 square feet? Is that what that second
Well,
thing
you
says?
can't add an addition that's 500.